So hello everyone, my name is Jenna. If we haven't met before, I'm the Operations and Programs Manager here at the Glass Art Society. And in case this is the first time you're joining us, a quick just debrief about GAS. We are a nonprofit international organization with the mission to encourage excellence, to advance education, to promote the appreciation and development of the glass arts, and to support the worldwide community of artists who work with glass. We offer a variety of opportunities to connect and learn from one another. And in 2020, we made the decision to really invest in our virtual programs for our continuing growing glass community. So one of those programs is this very own GAS student meetup. And this is a program that will continue to be held monthly for glass students across the world and in different stages of their glass education. So it's really meant to share ideas and to build community. Add one more person in the room. Awesome. So then before we get today's program started, there are just a couple of online community practices I wanted to review with you all. So as this is a space to build community, we just ask that everyone remain respectful of those who are present. Also, make sure your name appears on your screen, and if you are comfortable and able to do so, we suggest or ask that you list your pronouns. Also, we ask that you stay muted unless you have a specific question or we're having a lively discussion, as this can help minimize some of that background audio noise we sometimes hear. And then also keep in mind that we are recording this program, and then it will most likely be shared on the GAS YouTube page and added to our playlist of other GAS student meetups. So with all of those housekeeping things out of the way, I'm super excited to see so many faces here. So thank you for joining, and I'll pass the mic over to Paige.
Thanks, Jenna. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Paige, and I'm the student representative on the board of directors for GAS. And we started these meetups back in May as a response to the pandemic and to work to facilitate community for students. So this is the first one since then that we're doing sort of like a general assembly. So while we're like chatting with one another, if you all wanted to add your name and maybe your university and social media account in the chat, that way we can all connect with each other outside of this platform too. But otherwise, we're just going to kind of get the conversation rolling. And I thought maybe it might be nice to see if anyone came with any work to share, or if anyone wanted to talk about how their experience right now as a student has been, and maybe how that's changed or not changed since the last time we spoke. Feel free to jump in, don't have to be shy.
Is near San Diego, and I attend Palomar College and Miracosta College, but I'm not taking any glass classes there right now. I'm taking enameling classes privately.
Great. What kind of like glass enameling or enameling
Yes.
with other materials?
Enameling with glass. Here, I can show you a couple. Hold on.
That'd be great.
And I do stained glass too. This is a almost finished piece. Oh, it's not looking too good with my background. It's a flower, and the glass is a spectrum. I forgot what the color is, but it's usually spirally looking, and I made it into glue chip glass by baking it in an oven. And
Could you, I'm actually really curious about glue chip glass. I don't think I've ever heard that term before. What is
it's the
that?
glass that looks like it's feathery on it, or it looks like it has ferns on it, the texture.
Mm-hmm.
And you make it by you put horse glue, you kind of slather it on the glass, and then you bake it in the oven at about 400, and it starts to draw apart from each other and makes that texture. So if you did a Google search on glue, GLUE space chip, CHIP glass, you'd be able to see it easier than on the thing I just showed you.
Mhm.
And then here's some enamel, small enamel pieces. I mostly make jewelry now. So this one has it had glass powder on it for the background color, glass threads, and glass lumps, and I kind of swirl it when they all melt, so it comes out in, a lot of times it's happy accidents. And then let's see. Okay, these aren't as fancy. These are just going to be a pair of earrings. So they have pink and green enamel on them. I mostly enamel on copper because it's a lot less expensive than silver, but if I'm going to do like an expensive gift for somebody, I'll work with silver.
Great, thank you.
I'm
Oh,
curious.
here's a butterfly.
Oh, pretty. Thanks for showing. I always like seeing art. Being stuck in my home is not ideal. So thanks for sharing.
Where do you live?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay. Well, Carlsbad has been on the news because a lot of people here are protesting the restrictions and aren't following them. So we have restaurants that are open and people all over downtown not wearing masks. And apparently we were on the national news for it.
Oh, wow.
I am not one of those people. We were together, I would have a mask.
I'm curious to hear. So, for the people that are here and do take classes, are your studios or your schools open again for especially like in-person classes? I think mostly not, but
For us at Palomar in a couple of weeks, Michael is offering glass casting. So that's one way that we'll be able to get back into it and use up all the glass that we've hoarded. So I'm hopeful that it'll run. Like, it was kind of last minute for fall, so we didn't get any of the glass classes running, but
Are you
hopefully.
going to do it at school or at the Barrio Glassworks?
We're doing a hybrid synchronous asynchronous, so we're going to be picking up material and then dropping off is kind of how it's going to work, I assume, because I'm also part of the ceramics in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you take a look at the courses that we have offered here for spring?
Oh, well, I've already taken most of them.
We're doing non-credit, so we have classes for older adults, which is like anyone who wants to take it for no credit. You can get some glass fused.
Oh, well, I have a kiln.
Oh, you do? All right.
Yeah.
We can do bigger pieces too, if you want.
Because they basically, I took enameling every semester because I didn't have a kiln. And then they started saying you can only take classes 3 times, unless it's a sports class, of course. So I had to stop taking the classes. I took the stained glass fusing, slumping, and enameling many, many times. I've been going to Palomar since 2008.
Oh, wow. Hi, Jenny.
Hey. Palomar now has a where you can go as an older, if you've already hit that 3-person max.
Yeah.
And then you can just go in and it's like a credit, no credit class that you can take. And I believe he's going to be setting those up for glass blowing as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I did take glass blowing, but unfortunately, about half the time, the glory hole was just too hot for me to even get near, let alone gather glass out of. So I was hoping maybe to do something over at Barrio Glassworks, because I'm assuming they'll have newer equipment that'll keep a more constant temperature.
Maybe, but the glass casting is also the same thing where you can, and it hasn't started yet, so you could possibly sign up for that.
that class I did take.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a
Well,
couple.
okay.
I have some little pyramid book weights or paper weights I made, and a few other things. But he's saying you can take it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Because
still
it looks
have
like it'll be fun.
I still have glass left from the last time.
Does anyone else maybe have some pieces that they've been working on that they would be willing to share with us?
Sure. Hi, my name is Leia. I'm from AU Arts in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm not sure if there's any other Canadians on there, but if there are, let me know because I'd love to connect with the Canadian people. It's a little lonely up here in the north, being disconnected from the US with the border and everything. And it's also tough ordering in supplies. It's a little sad because it takes 3+ weeks for a color order to come in at this point. So 1 second. I'm a 4th year in my program, and I'm actually a interdisciplinary student in photography and glass. And recently I've been working on a series of prints about the landscape in which I'm using glass as an exposing tool in the darkroom. And I just started to do a new series. I'm wondering if it's all right if I do a screen share of the digital scan, if that's possible. If not, that's okay.
It looks like it's not restricted.
Yeah, is that restricted, Jenna, or would Leia be able to do a screen share? I don't know if you'd have to give permission.
I will quickly make you a co-host and then
Ooh, yay, promotion.
except your name keeps moving. Where are you? There you are. Great.
Awesome, 1 second. Sorry for the technical delay.
No worries. My patience for technology has drastically increased over these past couple months.
Yeah, I've become an expert in Zoom. I help run political meetings with 80 people attending.
Wow.
You learn really fast when you have that many people.
All right, there we go. Let's try this.
Oh, okay.
So my work is a lot about the Albertan landscape and about sublimity and home. And one of the big things about living in Calgary is our really great Chinooks. And for those who don't know what a Chinook is, in the winter, there's periods of time where there's, I forget exactly what it is, but the cold fronts and the warm fronts over the Rocky Mountains meet together and create like this weird air current that brings across about 12 to 48 hours of warmth. It can be a difference between, I think the last one was 30 degrees Celsius between, minus 20 to +5 the next day. So it's pretty crazy. And as a result, it's very defined by the streak of clouds across the western horizon. That's very opaque, and it's definitely something that's very much a part of living here. Only 2 places in the world have Chinooks here, and an obscure town in Mongolia. So it's quite unique, and it's something that I attempted to replicate using a glass rondelle that was discarded in the bin from the glass blowing shop on top of this print. And the photo was taken at Lake Moraine, which is one of our more famous lakes in the Rocky Mountains. And I've been working on techniques within the past 2 years to try to really integrate the glass into the photograph and have it to be a really cohesive relationship where both of them can work harmoniously. And I'd love to hear any thoughts about whether this print looks cohesive, and whatever interesting things you might think about it.
It's beautiful. How big is it?
The print is an 8x10.
And so it's transferred on the rondelle, right?
Sorry?
Is it transferred on the rondelle?
No, sorry. The rondelle is being used to
Uh-huh.
create distortion on a photosensitive piece of paper.
Ah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
I
is
want to
that
do
the
it the
top?
other way as well, but
Mhm.
it's expensive to find the emulsion for it, so I'm saving up.
Is that the top part of it was through the exposed through the glass, or
Yes, I'm not
okay.
sure if you can see my mouse, but within the top third of the composition where there's kind of like wavy lines and a bright spot, that's where the rondelle starts and ends.
Yeah,
And you,
no, it's real easy to see. Well, on mine, I have a 52-inch monitor hooked up to here, so yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, are you familiar too with, I think they're called water slide decals? There was a person in my undergraduate class who was a photo major, but took a lot of glass classes. And her thesis actually was portraits that she then transferred onto these decals and then fired those onto glass.
yeah, we do that up here. We do have a decal machine where we can print off designs. I have tried it before. I think it's really really cool, for sure. And I know there's quite a lot of interesting kind of, well, photo between the crossroads of photo, print, and glass. There's a lot that you can do in order to transfer imagery or to affect imagery. And decals is something that I want to explore now that our hot shop is open after a year of closure. So I'm hoping to try at least a couple more techniques. And I'm actually interested in, I think it was Gaffer. They have two colors that are reputed to be photosensitive. I think it's a one form of gold, ruby, and one silver yellow. And they're used as color bars, so you blow it out like usual, and then you put it in a dark place. And then theoretically, with the right type of masking, you can get images out of it. So there's definitely much more to explore in terms of how kind of these mediums can fit together.
Yeah, and there was definitely a recent post on Glassies, the Facebook page, where someone, I believe, was asking about success using that photosensitive color bar. I think the ruby. I didn't follow it, so I don't know what was said, but I remember seeing the question being posed. So if you have a Facebook, and if you're a member of that group or not, you could ask to join, and then that might be a good resource to kind of double back in the feed and see if you can look at what people had said about their success rates using it, or maybe there's some tips too.
Yeah, that would be great. It'd be good to find some other people who have tried stuff like that before diving in headfirst.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Lynn. I missed a little bit of how you're describing your process, but from what I'm understanding, you're projecting through a rondelle to get that distortion in image. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I think it's a pretty interesting approach. I was just curious if you've done other stuff like cold working the surface of like cast glass or blown glass before uh, exposing to see what that does for manipulation of image.
Yeah, I've done several tests where I've taken cast and sand cast materials up to about a 600 grit and then up to a polish, and experimented with kind of the magnification, especially of thick glass. And I think anybody who works with glass in a very optical way knows that you can kind of estimate how it's going to look, after you get enough experience knowing, what does a cup do when you put a light inside of it, what does what does this or that do? But at the same time, it'll always surprise you. The light will be thrown in a different way pretty much every time. And with this particular image, instead of laying the rondelle flat on the paper, keeping it still, it was held up manually at an angle, and even just that slightest little change in a single degree can affect the throw of light, which is something that was really interesting to explore, and I think is what takes kind of that physical manipulation apart from just a digital composition of just taking a picture of the glass and then of the photo and then meshing it together.
Yeah, I think that little margin right there is what could be really fascinating, is actually like expose maybe multiple images, 10 or 20, and kind of offset slightly and shift. I think you could get that illusion of water and the optics of water by kind of just repeating that pattern. I think there's a lot of interest that could kind of be like what it would look like from that perspective of being underwater, if that makes sense. But it seems like a lot of possibilities.
You figured out how to mount the print and the rondelle so that kind of do get that sort of change when your viewer, walks around the piece?
I haven't thought of that yet. It's very much still in kind of that experimental technical process, but I have considered like the presentation of it. I'm not. I would like to present the glass along with the photograph in some way, shape, or form, because it obviously is an important part of with the final composition. But I haven't really considered how it's going to look, side by side or layered physically on top of each other in a frame, or anything like that.
I think it would be great if somehow you could keep them separate the way that you did, just like being able to hold the print up to it so that you do get that dynamic sort of change depending on how the viewer interacts with your piece. I'm just trying to figure out a way that you could possibly do that.
The scale of the work is going to be interesting because with an enlarger, you can scale a negative up or down quite a bit. But obviously, if you want a bigger piece of glass, you've gotta go and make a bigger piece of glass. So I'm a little bit stuck at the 8x10 size right now, which I think is perfectly respectable. But I know that kind of on display, I want to challenge myself to do a bigger print, and to also to be able to give visual weight to an image and to the glass that accompanies it, rather than just have maybe some tiny like 4x6s, little thumbnails.
I think it would be appropriate considering you do landscapes, so go big.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, we'll try. There we go. You know what? I'll stop sharing for now, and I'll pass it on to the next person. Thank you guys for your opinions.
Thanks for sharing.
Great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have anything they want to share?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm new to this group. I ran over and grabbed a couple pieces real quick. I really like working in hot glass. It's definitely my favorite. I haven't blown any glass in about a year now just because of everything that's gone on. But I'm trying to get a torch pretty soon. So I also have been working on jewelry lately, and I want to mix the metal and glass. So I think I'm going to get into some lamp working. I really like mixed media. And so this is a lizard that I made the wire wrapping, or I guess not really wrapping, but I made the wire casing for it and then blew the glass into it, and I blew the eyes on a torch also. So I'm thinking of just doing this kind of on some smaller scale stuff when I get the torch, and then Here's another example of some mixed media. This is a vase, and I wood turn the base, and then I blew the glass into the wood, and so it sits together.
That loosely reminds me of Brandon and Piroc's work, where they blow into the ceramics. Since I am focused on ceramics and glass, I've always wanted to give that a go, but I hear it's a lot of trial and error. So maybe I'll hold off until I can have the facilities where they'll let me access raw ingredients and place them onto glass and see how they react.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Who did you say that does that? I'd love to take a look at it.
Brandon Callahan and P-Rock. I don't remember his last name, but they're a duo who's working right now on trying to marry these things together hot rather than cold.
Yeah, and that's really for when I get the torch, that's what I'm kind of envisioning to do with jewelry. I've seen a lot of artists that they take the blown glass and then they'll set it into something, and I really want to blow the glass right into the metal and then let that anneal together.
Yes, that's exciting.
Thanks.
Actually, those two, yep, as Paige just put in the chat, they actually have a presentation video from the GAS 2020 virtual conference that we had. So I'm trying to pull up that link right now and I'll drop it in the chat. But they gave, I think it was about an hour talk about their process and gave a little tour and some examples of their work. So should definitely check them out. They're pretty great.
Yeah, thanks.
You
also talk about,
you can also check Unfold. You know them?
I don't know. If you could put
Yeah,
that in the chat too.
I've just posted the link.
Oh,
They
perfect.
are a design group and they use 3D printing in ceramics and then blue glass into it.
Oh, very cool.
And it's stable.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing that.
that's pretty similar to Brandon and P-Rock's process too. And Brandon and P-Rock tend to teach workshops very often at different places like Pilchuck and Penland. So that could be something to look out for too, to see if they have any classes scheduled for this upcoming summer.
Thank you.
I think the trickiest part is finding a clay body that's compatible. You can do it with a clay body that's not compatible, but that's kind of a really small margin between the piece surviving and not. But it is doable with both. But those guys are working on trying to develop a clay body that's the same coefficient as glass. So if you know anybody or have time to research that, you'd be ahead of the curve.
I know that someone from my previous university did a research about it for 2 years, and they used a lot of raccoon ceramic. It has way more shamot material and it's way more resistant to change, to temperature change.
I don't really mean to segue, but I kind of do. I was wondering if any of you guys were applying or looking into Pilchuck, because I got my thing. And so I was tempted, but not tempted. I don't, it depends on the vaccine when we get it. But I was thinking of applying as a TA or staff and scholarships. So I was wondering if any of you guys are doing the same thing.
I am. I'm applying to TA's staff and scholarships as well.
I thought about it, but because of the pandemic, I cannot move to the US at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, international students and outside the US, unfortunately.
It's so much harder, huh?
Yeah.
And that being said, like if there's a chance and it's safe, obviously, we'd all be flocking down there. But we're hoping at least some of the partner scholarships at our own schools elsewhere are able to honor previous scholarships for 2020, and fingers crossed that we can all hang out back together in 2022.
Yeah, for the people who are in an international and are interested in applying to the places like Pilchuck this summer, I would suggest writing an email to the registrar and just asking those questions, like what if travel is still not going to be, like international travel is going to be impossible still because of the pandemic. I know that I'm assuming there are still a lot of bans for traveling to the US, which I don't blame anyone. So yeah, I would just ask those questions. They were pretty good about honoring as much as they could from 2020 being canceled. So it's difficult, like if you had a TA position and those classes got canceled, that class it's not necessarily running this year. But if people had scholarships or were accepted into a class, a lot of that, there was the potential to roll that over. So it never hurts to ask. And last year, I think, was the first year they did it, and they're doing it this year too, where they were able to acquire donors to pay for the application fees. So application fee is $0, which is really amazing. And usually when I see that, I tell myself that there's no reason for me not to apply to something. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay. I can introduce now if it's okay. Is it possible to screen share? Oh, good. Desktop too. Good. So now you see the desktop with the website. Hello.
Yes, you're good to go. And then
Okay.
Ariel, could you also maybe explain, you're in Israel, correct?
Yes, I am. Far, far away. Yeah, so my name is Ariel Avot. I am from Israel, and this summer I graduated my bachelor from Bezalel Academy of Art and Design in Jerusalem. I did a semester abroad in Denmark, in Bornholm, and I was in an apprenticeship for a summer, 2 summers ago, in Bode Glassbrook and Orefors Park. My main work, my bachelor project was this in dialogue, which were, wait, no, it's to go in. Shit, sorry. I need to reload it. Yeah. So these are huge biomorphic blown objects in all different kinds of techniques, and all of them were blown into the same steel mold that I had designed to have many degrees of freedom. And the beauty of it that each one of them was like very unique.
You pick great colors. I love the colors.
Thank you. That's Kugler colors. Kugler and Steve Duro from Gaffer.
Ariel, do these all of these are hanging pieces, or it looks like maybe some are
Except this
freestanding?
one. Except this one that is standing. All the others are hanging and hopefully now we are in shutdown in Israel, but hopefully in 2 weeks they will all be in a big exhibition. Yeah.
What exhibition are they going to be in?
There is a museum for glass and archaeology somewhere on the coastline, a little bit south of Haifa, and this was like in 1890. It was the first real glass factory in Israel that they made to make wine bottles. But after 2 years, they found out that it's not cost effective, so they closed it down. And now it's a really big, it's a nice museum, so I'm going to present it there. And I've now finished all the applications for graduate school in the US and in AU Arts in Calgary. And hoping.
Nice. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to see. You'll
Hopefully.
have to share with us. Maybe you can post it on the GAS student Facebook group, like when the exhibit opens. If there's like an online portion, then we could all take a look. I would love to see it.
Sure.
And then I'm also curious, what schools in the States here are you planning to apply for graduate school?
I have applied already
Nice.
to RISD, Alfred, Ohio State University. One moment. Sorry, I need my list. One moment. Yes, RISD, Ohio State University, University of Washington, Alfred, Southern Illinois University, and AU Arts in Calgary, and Tulane University.
Okay.
Let's hope.
Yeah, good luck. That's a extensive list, but a good one.
Yeah. Yes. And hopefully everything with the corona will be okay and I could travel out of here.
Fingers crossed for all of us.
Yeah.
Ariel, I had a question for you. So
Yes.
with the pink guy, it looks like I'm kind of curious. Were you able to get that more like organic looking, the thinner lines on there?
These ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used a Duro colors, and you can also see them here. If we will show it. So I just pulled really, really thin strings. So I picked up Duro, I gathered once over it, and just pulled really, really, really thin strings. And I don't know, it was like 200 meters from, 50 grams. I don't know how it worked.
Oh yeah, you got so many layers in there.
Yeah, so I first gather, and then I just collect immediately after. I will collect some stringers immediately from the mother and get it in the glory hole, so it will all assemble in an organic way.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, I will gather again, and I will do a marver strip and hit it, gather some more.
Smart.
So I will not have so much body of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And in those plates, I had like 6 layers of stringers. Yeah.
It seems so obvious now that you mentioned the marver strip. And I'm like, how did he do that without getting so much glass on his pipe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely work.
Thank you. Yeah. That's it. And now I'm doing ceramics.
Multimedia artist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Mentioned that you were working in Boda in Sweden.
Yeah, just speak louder.
Yeah.
You said you were working in Boda in Sweden.
Yeah, with Peter
Hmm. Did you ever visit the glass school there, Critics Glass School?
in Nibro.
Hmm.
Yeah, I visited there. I have a good friend there named Rebecca.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, we know her. We go to that school, or I just finished.
Yeah, cool.
And I feel like I may have seen your pieces around. They look really familiar.
Is Riksglasskolan open right now?
No, it just closed.
Ah, okay. I was like, wow, you guys are open still.
Yeah. It happened so I had my last year. Last year was my third year. And the last, I think, 2 months got cut off.
Oh no, sorry.
Finished. That was too bad. But the gas conference was supposed to be there this year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was too bad that it didn't happen. We were all looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Too. I lived in Sweden for 3 years, so I was trying to see if I could somehow get there and get away from all the craziness of the States, but no one wants Americans right now, so.
I don't think anybody wants us flying in with all of our.
It's okay. Nobody wants us to. Yeah.
Mhm. I guess we can actually never introduced ourselves. I'm Beck, and this is Amanda. And we met in school, and then Amanda has 1 year left, and I just finished, and now I work in the Costa Boda factory. Started there in October. That's fun. And
Do you guys have any work you want to share?
yeah, I have a piece here. I don't know if you can see it because the light, but it was dusted with powder. And it has these clear windows in it to look to the inside. And there were supposed to be, I don't know if you can see, there was supposed to be a bunch of strings in the inside. I wrapped it a bunch of times and switched the axis. And it was a stuff cup, but I chose the wrong color. I thought it would show a little bit more, but it didn't. I have another one somewhere else with white stringers that showed up really well. But then I was really into dusting the powder at the end and getting a little bit of texture. I like the way it looks.
That's really cool.
I have some vases here that I made.
Ooh, what color is that?
It's white and a brown gray color. And it's also sandblasted. So it's, yeah, for another texture. And we had this like projects in school to like pick like inspiration from the nature. So I made some stones, like sea stones with the same like technique with the sandblasting, and it's also small vases, very organic shapes.
Oh, I love those.
Thank you. That's our work.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us too, all the way from Sweden, and Ariel, of course, from Israel. I'm going to segue just a little bit. We wanted to ask all of you who are joining us today, what sort of programs or topics you'd like to see us discuss in future student meetups. When we did the first one too, we actually sent out a survey and we got a lot of great feedback from the people who participated, but we thought maybe we'd ask and see if there was anything you all would kind of look for in a student meetup program in the future?
I think this concept of sharing other people's work, like students around, it's very, very nice. Like in difference to what was before, that you brought some different artists who were not mainly in glass, or they used glass as a medium.
Were there any from the survey page that stuck out to you that a lot of people were requesting?
I'd have to look back because we did that survey, I think, back in May. But if I remember correctly, it seemed mostly like people were interested in studio visits and demos, I think. And we did, we have sort of done at least one, I think, of everything that's been suggested so far. And then other programs as well. But we did some studio visits, and I know we had Madeline do a demo, and she was flame working. So yeah, just kind of trying to figure out what the general public is interested in, but we're trying to keep it fresh and change it up and not have like a repetitive or redundant programming.
Yeah, so the first thing that came to mind was like visiting artists. But I think a lot of the people that we tend to get are US based or just like in North America. So Beck, Amanda, Ariel, like if you know of any artists that might be willing to do a demo or a studio tour, I'm sure Jenna and Paige would love to hear about it.
Yeah, I would ask a few teachers and friends in Israel, and yeah, whoever I know.
More international artists.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a really great suggestion, Stephanie. And to kind of piggyback on that, last month's programming was a program that was brought to us by 2 graduate students at RIT who had come to some meetups, and they wanted to have a conversation about being an international artist or an international student. Specifically, this one was more so like coming and studying in the US, but we did have an artist and a lawyer who joined us and had a conversation on what that looks like. And of course, we couldn't cover everything. There will be a second series to that program coming this spring, but that was a program that we hadn't even thought of. Ingjin and Renoy emailed me and got the conversation started. So if you think of anything, or if you have an artist that you admire, that you know, even if it is like a pipe dream, just shoot me an email. I'll drop the student rep email in the chat so y'all have it, and we'll see what we can do on our end.
That would be
Also,
amazing.
yeah, the one before the last one was with a two-tone studio. That was really, really nice.
Yeah, and we're recording all of these meetups too, and then posting them on our YouTube, because we also know that not everyone can always make it. Sometimes it's a time zone issue, and we are trying to switch the time up here and there so that we can accommodate people who aren't in North America as well. So we're still working up the kinks. This isn't even a year old yet, but you know, if there, like I said, if there's something that you want to see, just let us know and we can try and figure it out.
Do you know the title of the video with Rin? Because I missed that one, and I really wanted to take a peek at that.
That one should be actually, I think I have a link for that one. 1 second. Because I believe in the January updates that I sent out, I think I have that link in there. I don't know for certain, but oh, that didn't copy the link. Hold on, sorry.
I just dropped it into the chat. So for
Oh, there you
December,
go.
yeah, so for December, we had the 2 guests join us and talk. It was a lot about visas and the visa process, which can be really overwhelming and complicated. So yeah, feel free to take a look at that one. And then also I wanted to add a couple of the other meetups we have had. One was like a graduate student Pechakucha, which was really great. So a little bit of that show and tell aspect where we had different students give 5 minutes of their work, which was great. We've also been playing around with, we know season 2 of Blown Away is coming out soon. So maybe us all watching an episode together might be fun. But we're really open to making these as you all would like to see them.
Is it possible for us to do a little launch party to watch the first episode together? Is that a thing that we can do?
You mean a dinner party? But okay.
Right? The time zones are always tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. We could have it be a happy hour.
Yeah, because that does launch next Friday, the January 22nd.
Might be cutting it close, but I definitely would like to watch an episode with you guys and kind of pick out all of the things that they kind of glossed over. Cold working doesn't exist yet, apparently. So
No.
I actually wonder if that's something that you could pose in the Student Center Facebook. It would be great too, like if anyone has shows or questions, you know, feel free to post on there. Right now it's just sort of me when I find like different opportunities and things like that, I post that in there. But maybe that's something that you can write in there, Stephanie, and see if there are people who would want to get together and do like a Zoom hangout or a Google Hangout and watch the premiere of Blown Away together. I mean, that doesn't, like, we don't even necessarily have to host it. You all can utilize that space to network and create activities for yourself outside of this forum.
that's a great idea. I'll go ahead and post on that too.
You should reach out to the Blown Away Instagram account and ask if they're going to do Polished Away for a cold working version.
Please show us cold working.
Everything that
wonder, you gotta wonder exactly like what are the requirements like outside the hot shop with stuff like that, right? Like how much time do they get? Not to mention in the last season, you know, like display presentation. You know, they don't talk that much about the judging criteria because it's focused on all the action. But I think for the glass nerds, we just want to know it all.
I'm actually glad you brought that up earlier, Paige. So if any of you are not aware and you do have access to Facebook, we have a group that is open to anyone and we welcome you to post different opportunities. Paige is really great about posting when applications are open for residencies or exhibitions or all of the above. So you should definitely join and check it out if you haven't already.
Well, so we have like a couple more minutes. If there's any like last comments that anyone wanted to make. But this has been really great. I'm glad so many people had work that they were able to share with us. It's really wonderful.
It was great hanging out, guys. We do this monthly, right? So hopefully I see all your faces next month.
Next week.
Next week. Yes, the premiere.
Yeah.
Great.
I just wanted to, what was the Facebook group? It's just gas or?
The Student Center.
I put in the link
Oh,
in the chat too.
thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And this program will be uploaded to the GAS website and the Student Meetup YouTube playlist soon. And then last but not least, for our February GAS Student Meetup, we'll be joined by Caitlin Vitalo, former GAS student representative and current board member, for a curatorial talk and walkthrough of her newest exhibition, Glass in the Expanded Field, at the Hunterton Art Museum in Clifton, New Jersey, I believe. I know it's New Jersey. So details will be available soon. Keep an eye out on social media for posts from GAS and the monthly GAS Digest for more information. And also I'll give a little plug too before we end. If any of you are interested in being a student liaison and disseminating GAS information from me to your university and your program, feel free to write to me at that student rep email and I can get you the info. I know we have some liaisons on, like Stephanie for Palomar, but it's a great opportunity to kind of get involved with GAS and also get some experience for your resumes. So great. Thanks everyone again.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.